But in a situation where you find that a look at this,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
Now, earlier, before we had that little technical hitch, we were discussing the headline on the Daily Trust newspaper, which states federal government, private sector to bridge 350 trillion naira infrastructure gap. And you were commenting on that.
Yes, as I said earlier, it is a fantastic window, according to experts, for the federal government to explore in order to bridge the wide gap in providing capital projects that will benefit Nigerians. When you look at it, there are 350 trillion naira. That is huge. Without exploring other options, it will take Nigeria 18 years to do what will be able to do if it secures the partnership with the private sector. And don't forget, this 350 trillion deficit is just for 5 years. So during the briefing yesterday, the Minister of Finance said they are trying to bring on board the private sector. You know, we have many companies to negotiate with them, so that from the taxes they're supposed to remit to the federal government, they will use part of it to provide some of this infrastructure, like roads, probably dams that can generate electricity to solve the glitch we just experienced. Yeah, in hospitals and all that. And this is not just the first time, but there is even an executive order to this effect, which gives the federal government the latitude to involve some of this private sector. Already, some have started, like the Dangote, BUA, MTN, Access Bank, and many of them, they have agreed to construct roads and other facilities instead of paying tax to the federal government. So it's a very good initiative, considering that legislators, captains of industries, and even Nigerians are complaining that we are always borrowing, borrowing and borrowing. And you know, there's a ceiling that if we reach there, the multinational corporations will not even give us the
loan. Yeah. Right.
So but why do you think, you know, there's so many failed roads, considering that for every year there's a provision for these kind of infrastructure, you know, especially roads, like very, very high, like, you know, it's a priority. Why do you think there's so many, you know, failed road contracts in Nigeria?
It is one thing to budget, and it is another to fund it. Basically, this is the problem. Almost on a weekly basis, during the Federal Executive Council meeting, you see the president, ministers, and other top government functionaries approving construction of roads. That's on paper. You need the resources to execute them. And if you don't have the money, what do? You understand? In Nigeria, we are still not yet there. In other climes, for sure, I know whatever you budgeted for in air, you must have to execute it 100%. But what is our budget performance here? This next year's budget, I know, is spent at around 16.something trillion. And part of it is going to come from borrowing. Well, most likely, we might not conclude the arrangements to secure the loans, and then a significant part of it will go for recurrent expenditure. So that is why you see ministers, presenting their memos, securing approvals, and then they have to now struggle to see that they get the money to execute such projects. Just last week, petroleum tanker drivers insisted that they will go on strike because of the terrible state of the Nigerian roads.
Right.
And we deliberately put one of our riders there that the NLPC, it intervened in saying that we are going to construct
Field roads.
Yeah, because you can imagine if the petroleum tanker drivers, go on strike. I don't think people will be in this studio by this time.
Okay, so would you say the partnership between the federal government and the private sector should have been initiated a long time ago?
Yes, but it's not yet. It's not late. Yeah, we still have the opportunity, and as I said, there is an executive order to that effect, and then some companies have also made commitments. Some of them have started executing the projects, and this the meeting held yesterday was a prelude to the National Economic Summit coming up between 25th and 26th of this month, where captains of industry, government officials will come together. So most likely we will get more commitments because we have many companies, in Nigeria, conglomerates, that they have resources that they will be able to bridge the gap that we are expecting.
Okay. Now, I think we should look at another story or headline on the Daily Trust newspaper, which is quite alarming. Mixed reactions as federal government moves to shut IDP camps. Is that reasonable at this time?
Yes, personally, I'm looking at it from the positive side, because you can't live in IDP's camp forever because of the multiplier negative effect. For instance, in Borno, we've been having these IDP camps for over 10 years, meaning some of the children born there supposed to be in school. Of course, some are receiving some ad hoc classes, but you will not compare them with children who are living with their parents, in other places. Women, adults, they can't go to markets, they can't go to places of work. So it's a positive development. Because we spoke with many people, including the IDPs. They are very, very excited. They want to go back home.
Okay, but one would actually think, the fights against insecurity needs to be won first, so that when they go back to their homes, there will be no issues.
Yes, this story captures that because in places like Niger, Zamfara, Sokoto, honestly, it is not right to start taking the people back. But in Borno, for instance, in Yobe, Adamawa, and Benue State, you can see there is, the curve has gone down in terms of attacks. And then, of course, the federal government and the state government, especially in Borno and Yobe, they have made some provisions. The Northeast Development Commission also has built over 1,000 houses in Maiduguri. Then the state government has also built hundreds of houses, reactivated markets. They also gave seed money to some of the IDPs. So they've started resettling these people, and they are very, very happy. They are very excited. But, of course, you have to ensure that they are secured. The government should not give room for the terrorists to have any opportunity to attack the people. And then we also hope that similar attention will be given to places in Niger places in Zamfara and places in Sokoto and other hotspots.
Okay. Now let's talk about another headline here, and it has to do with civil servants and COVID-19 vaccination, and the deadline being November given to them to get vaccinated, or they get sacked or not go back to work. What do you have to say about this?
I think it's good because we will live with the COVID-19 or COVID-20 or yes. So the best thing is for somebody to take the vaccine so that you reduce the preponderance of infection. And obviously, in ministries and agencies, that is where you have large concentration of people. And before, Nigerians were complaining that we don't have the vaccines, the federal government has failed, blah blah blah. You understand? Now the vaccines are there. I remember yesterday I took my son to Wuse General Hospital, and I was invited to take the vaccine. So it is not difficult now to get it if you step into any of the federal government facilities or the FCD, for instance, in Abuja. I don't know the situation in some states, but generally the vaccines are there. But Nigerians are reluctant to go and take it because of some obvious reasons, which you know.
But Jehesu is saying the vaccines are not sufficient. That is why.
It's not true. As I said yesterday, I'm telling you, I went to Wuse General Hospital and then I said, sir, have you taken your vaccine? Go and take it. You understand? So it is there. And I think civil servants should take it because globally, those who took the vaccine are more secured compared to those who are not taking it. So I see no reason why people are reluctant to take it.
I think contrary to that, experts have said, well, taking the vaccine doesn't actually make you immune, to the COVID-19. So do you think this is why people are having hesitancy?
No, it's not that. It improves your immunity, meaning your chances of getting the virus is extremely low compared to those who refuse to take it. Yes.
Okay.
So I think we should encourage Nigerians by emphasizing on the safety of the vaccines because people are scared. Some said it induces infertility, it brings other elements and all that. I think we should, the media should emphasize more on the safety of the vaccines so that people will be comfortable to take it.
Right. Okay, let's talk about yet another story here, and it has to do with Igboho. From Cotonou, saying that he's ill and he's seeking for treatment in Germany or France.
I have never seen any politician or activist or whatever who is in the net of government and taken to court without saying he's sick or whatever. I'm sorry.
Seems to be a very normal.
I'm not saying that his lawyers are lying, but that is a trend in Nigeria.
Yes.
Every other person, you see the politicians, making noise, going here and there, campaigning and all that. But by the time,
some of them faint. We've seen cases
some going to the courtrooms, wheelchairs, crutches, and all that. There was time we did one story, and I think it generated a lot of interest because we named, but we didn't share. Politicians who, yes. So, Ibo's case, of course, if he is not feeling fine, Well, yesterday when I was going through the story, the lawyer said one of his organs. So I was joking. I jokingly asked my news editor, I said, which of the
organs exactly?
Lungs, you know?
Or the kidney.
Kidney. So we pray that he will be fine, and we pray that the whole problem will be resolved. Yeah.
Hopefully. Okay.
I think we should go back to the vaccination, and there's a story here that says Africa rejects a vaccine passport travel protocol.
It revolves around what we discussed earlier, the skepticism, you know, and we thank God you can see the effect of the virus very, very less. God in his mercy saved Africa compared to how, you know,
European
dead bodies on the streets and all. And there was this prediction, but you know, God is wonderful, you know, and we are fine. Of course, we lost many people, prominent people, promising people lost their lives to COVID-19, and now the international community is saying, look, you can't travel without having the COVID-19 vaccine. And we've written many stories that we will get there because and Africans love traveling.
We do, Nigerians particularly.
So I think with this, many people who are reluctant to go for the vaccine will definitely go for it, because if the European countries, the Americas and all that, they insist that you cannot go there without having the vaccine, and you can't travel by road, right? You need the international passport to secure visas. So by the time you step into any of the embassies to get visa and they say they will not give you, and you want to travel, what do? You will go for it. That is carrot and stick.
But there was actually a report that says that even if you have been vaccinated in your country, you know, you will not be granted visa, or when you get there, you will still be in quarantine.
It's part of the protocol, but you can see Europe relaxed the restrictions on Nigeria just last week. That if you are fully vaccinated, instead of staying for 2 weeks before you proceed to your destination on arrival there, that you will no longer suffer that unnecessary delay. So they are tweaking the protocol, making it a bit easier, and then at the same time using the stick to ensure that Africans in particular yes, get the vaccine.
Okay, so let's dive into politics now. The Guardian, headline of The Guardian is saying APC, PDP in flurry of activities to decide critical congresses. And it's saying APC insists on going ahead with states congresses amid protests. What do you think, you know, is the situation?
It's all about the 2023 general elections. And of course we have many political parties, but all eyes are on PDP
APC.
And, APC. You can see the PDP, they zone the chairmanship to the north, and the prediction in some quarters is that very likely the presidential candidate will come from the south. And then APC, I can see that they are more interested in wooing defectors, you know, wooing members of PDP and other political parties. Just yesterday, the deputy governor of Anambra State dumped APGA and then joined the APC, and was presented to the president and the presidential villa. Besides, PDP, after zoning the chairmanship to the north, they now said, okay, the three geopolitical zones, North Central, Northwest, and then Northeast, should produce one contender, so that among the three contenders, they will now agree to pick one. Funny enough, politicians who have interest in the in presidency, they are now pushing the chairmanship. For instance, politicians in the North Central, they don't want the party to pick the chairman from their zone. The same thing in the Northeast. They don't want those who have interest. They don't want the chairman to come from there. The same thing from the Northwest. They don't want the chairman. So it's like cat and mouse game within political parties and then among political parties. It's an interesting time.
Why do you think there's so much of rivalry between political parties, especially between PDP and APC?
It's obvious. Crave for power. So there must be intense rivalry among them. And that is politics. If there is no rivalry, then there is no democracy. But what we expect beyond the politicking is positive opposition. Yes, the APC is in power. We expect a robust opposition from the PDP, so that the government in power will deliver dividends of democracy to Nigerians. As far as Nigerians are concerned, there is no difference between PDP and APC. The way the politicians are just cross-carpeting. You can see Abga also joining the bandwagon. Yeah, but ultimately Nigerians expect good governance.
Right.
Yes.
We'll take just one more before we wrap up this particular segment, and it has to do with a day we're commemorating today, which is World Sight Day. Now, according to this particular report, sight loss costs a global economy $411 billion in productivity every year. Mr. Ibrahim, what is your take on this?
You can see my recommended glass, because I can't see things from afar. Many people have this, but I think we are better off compared to people who can't read. Yeah, I can read, and then I can see my computer very well. It is a sad development because sight is life. Yes. You can't see, it affects so many things. Yeah, because you can't do certain work, and then it also demoralizes. And you can see the scandalous figure there. I don't know, but most likely it includes the maybe the services that people are supposed to render, and they are unable to do that. Maybe the cost of medication, the glasses, and all that. So, as you discussed earlier, it is very important for people to take care of their sight, and then most importantly, governments at all levels, federal, state, and local government, should give priority, because I know that some people require minor surgery to see, but they have gone blind. So if you go to the rural areas, that is what you find. People with challenges in their eyes, and they don't have the means to address it. But thank God, you can see some of our legislators, they do some of these surgeries as part of their community project or constituency project. I think that is worth it, because whenever you see the legislator there with the team of doctors, you will be shocked when you see the number of people trooping to that place. And many of them, within 5 minutes, their challenges will be addressed. So it's good.
Okay. Now, according to this same report, it states 90% of people, you know, with blindness live in Nigeria. Isn't that quite alarming, and we need to respond quickly?
Yes, Nigeria and other African countries is alarming. And as I said, most of the problems are not really life-threatening. Yeah, meaning with little intervention, people will get back their sight. But it is the level of poverty. You realize that somebody not keep 5,000 in there in some villages. 5,000. And then maybe they require 25,000 to undergo this treatment. So what do they do? So it goes back to government, organizations, to prioritize what they do for the people. Because a healthy population is a productive population.
Right.
Yes. We should see this as a wake-up call. If Nigeria is among the countries in the world leading this, it's not good for our image. Because I strongly believe, as I said earlier, most of the problems are surmountable.
Okay, well, with this we wrap up this segment of Daybreak.